Jalen and Jacoby is presented by Grey Goose.
He is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
Doe? We give the people what they want.
Happy Veterans Day to everybody. Before we even start the show, we would just like to salute you, everyone who has ever served in our armed forces. Because of you, we're allowed to do what we do. We appreciate your service. Jalen, we have a bombshell report from Woj and McMahon that could change the landscape of the NBA. But we don't start there. We start with this. Jalen, we've all watched all the snaps all year long, and one thing became crystal clear to me, that ESPN is wrong when they power rank the Steelers as the number one team in the NFL. The clear number one team in the NFL to me is the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know you agree with me, and it starts at the top with these two.
For 10 years, we've done an amazing job of not covering the coverage, but in this case, we must do so. Andy Reid elevated himself. Let Alex Smith go. Nurtured Patrick Mahomes along with Eric Bieniemy, and he got a $500 million contract. Under center, they're doing trick plays and gadgets. They're like mad scientists. You know what we should ask them for? The vaccine of COVID-19. I bet those two guys could come up with it. I really do. You got Travis Kelce out there running through the middle of the field, stiff-arming people holding the ball with one hand. You got the cheetah doing jet sweeps and going deep. And so watching the Kansas City Chiefs play allows me to realize they're toying with the competition. They are the clear-cut best team in the NFL.
I feel the exact same way. It's in a power rankings. It should be the Chiefs, and then you should have to like flip the page to get to the second team, which is probably going to be the Steelers or the Seahawks or the Packers or whoever. But Jalen, another thing I want to mention is this: is we celebrate the trick plays and we celebrate all the touchdowns and everything Patrick Mahomes does. But there's something that he's doing which is really impressive. It's actually what he's not doing. Let me show you a highlight from Patrick Mahomes. You see this? He drops back, throws, and he's picked off by the Raiders. Why am I showing you that? That is the only interception he has thrown all season long. He has one single interception, and not just that. Take a look at these stats. One fumble. Oh, he got that back.
Wow.
11 sacks. It might seem like a lot of sacks, but that's just over one sack a game, and his QBR is second in the league. Patrick Mahomes does so many things on the football field, but it's actually what he doesn't do, which is just as impressive, and that is get sacked, fumble the ball, or throw interceptions. And Jalen, while we're celebrating the offense, we also have to give a little hat tip to the defense. What do you like about the Chiefs' defense?
Their pass defense has been outstanding, Jacoby. And when you have an offense that's going to score the way the one we just highlighted, now all of a sudden defense, you can focus on pass rush. And Frank Clark, which is scary, is talking about how he wants to move around more, how he wants to see the defense be more gadget prone like the offense. So that's going to be crazy for the opposing teams. But I want to point something out to you, Jacoby. You've shown Patrick Mahomes one INT. That's also the one game that they lost. So we may or may not know. Maybe the Raiders have something that can be a problem for the Chiefs. They are playing good football, and Derek Carr is dropping dimes this year, but we're on the same page. The Kansas City Chiefs are the clear-cut best team in the NFL.
Yeah, and the Chiefs aren't perfect. You know, they squeaked by the Panthers last week, and they were in overtime against the Chargers early in the season. But I would say of all the teams are flawed, but this team is less flawed than the others. There's a but for every team. But again, this Chiefs team right now in this league is head and shoulders above everybody, not just in their conference, but in both conferences, in our opinion. Jalen, bombshell report from our colleagues, Woj and McMahon. They are hearing some whispers from some sources in Houston that their two former MVP All-Stars, James Harden and Russell Westbrook, are a little uncertain. They're a little uneasy of what's going on down there. Daryl Morey's gone. Mike D'Antoni's gone. Jalen, you've been around this kind of thing and involved in this kind of thing for your whole career. What do you think about this report?
I think a few things. The Houston Rockets were paying Daryl Morey top dollar for his three-point bombs away style and Mike D'Antoni to implement it. Both of those guys are getting top dollar. Now when you bring in Silas, you want to trade your former MVPs. Here's what I'll say about that. Russell Westbrook and James Harden are vastly different in how they perform and how they will be received from another team. I believe if both of these guys are moved, Jacoby, they would be moved to low-fringe playoff or non-playoff teams from this year. I think you'll look at the paper and be like, James Harden averaged 35, all of a sudden we're going to trade him into a contender. But his style, his isolation play, and his inability to play off the ball, that's not attractive to all teams. For Russell Westbrook, I saw the report that basically acknowledged a couple of teams in play. One of them being the Knicks, who I think should be in play for both of these guys because their team fit the dynamics of what I just said, should be looking for players like this. But also for Russell, the other team mentioned was the Clippers. Trust me, as somebody that's been around the league as long as I have, I understand what Jerry West likes and dislikes. I don't see Russell Westbrook as his type of player. And here's what I mean. He's not an accurate three-point shooter. He has high turnovers, and sometimes he makes questionable decisions in the last couple of minutes of the game. You don't become the logo of the NBA, as well as one of the greatest general managers of all time, and not have certain traits that you just frown upon. And based on that, I don't believe Russell Westbrook ends up a member of the Clippers.
Interesting. And I've said it before, I do not think what the Knicks should do is go trade in for a superstar. Don't you dare give away your picks. Don't give away your young players that I love like Robinson and Barrett. You can get rid of Randall and maybe Knox and throw something together, and if they're willing to do that. But who's taking on Randall, Knox, and a pick for Russell Westbrook? I'm just not sure that I see that happening. But Jalen, this is interesting. One thing in this report that I bet people won't really talk about is this. They were consulted in the Silas hire. They knew that Silas was coming in. So why do you think if they were involved in this hire, they co-signed it, why would they now be uncertain? Why would we be hearing about this now?
Oh, it ain't that they're uncertain. That's ownership in a lot of ways probably using Silas as a pawn toward the players to be a voice. So you get their buy-in to who they want. So therefore, if they're still on your team, they can't say that you didn't get them their guy. But at the same time, now that Silas and both of those players are still under contract, as ownership, you can now pivot and say, should we move both of them, if not one of their salaries, in order to actually rebuild? It's not just about trading the player, Jacoby. In a salary cap sport, it's trading the salaries in a lot of ways.
Yes, and there has been a lot of coverage of owner Tillman Fertitta's financial hits that he has taken due to the pandemic, as many businesses have. His business has been negatively affected. Now, Jalen, it would be big news if this report came out today, but there's also another report involving these players, kinda, because the man that was traded Russell Westbrook for, they moved out Chris Paul to bring in Russell Westbrook, and now Chris Paul had a great season on the Thunder. One of the stories of the bubble was how well they played down there. But now there's some rumors that potentially the Suns could be interested in acquiring CP3. What would that mean for the Suns, and what would that mean for Chris Paul?
So what it would mean for the Suns is leadership in the locker room and on the floor. Somebody that Devin Booker is going to respect and trust, their best player and a future superstar in this game. I'm pretty sure Monty Williams will also welcome having a coach on the floor, and that stability that Chris Paul will bring is invaluable to a stat sheet. He's going to play mid-range. He's going to make big shots. He's going to bring toughness. But here's one thing he's also going to bring: another ball handler. And when I watch Devin Booker, in a lot of ways, it's like Donovan Mitchell. You want to bring in somebody to be a primary ball handler with those guys, but when they have the ball in their hands, they're so unstoppable and dynamic, creating offense for themselves and teammates. It's almost like you want to keep the ball in their hands. And so because of Chris Paul's intangibles, if you're Phoenix and you can get them, you'll take them. But for Chris Paul, it would seem at this point of his career, especially not being willing, and nobody should in my estimation, to take a pay cut, I would think that he'd want to go somewhere else to be on a contending team, in particular the East. And I have 2 landing spots for him, the Heat and the Bucks. Those would be really good landing spots. Imagine all of the great basketball you saw from Chris Paul this year if he's doing it for one of those teams at the point guard spot. And so
if I'm the Suns,
it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
If I'm the Suns, my number one thing is keep Devin Booker happy. I would go straight to Devin Booker. Do you want Chris Paul on your team? Is that what you want? Because they really need to keep him happy. And I also love their young core. They're developing Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Oubre, Ayton. They've got a really good young team. And I don't think Chris Paul puts them into contention in the West. Doesn't put them into contention. So I don't know. If I were the Suns, I would balk at giving away a lot of young assets to bring in Chris Paul because I don't think Chris Paul puts them in the conversation. And they played so well in the bubble. Jalen, we have a story just for you. Isiah Thomas. Here's what Isiah Thomas had to say about competition with Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He said, quote, head-to-head, I was dominant over Michael Jordan until 91 when basically I had a career-ending wrist surgery. It really wasn't a competition there. My focus was Bird, Magic, Dr. J, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Jalen, he's your guy. What do you think about what Isiah Thomas said? There's no competition between him and Jordan.
My favorite team of all time is the Detroit Pistons, and it ain't even close. Shout to Dave Bing, top 50 player who was on here last night. And you know Isaiah's like a father figure, big brother, coach, mentor, JRLA sponsor, all of the above. Him and his wife, Lynn, are my thought partners and spiritual advisors in a lot of ways when I don't make quality decisions. This is GOAT talk, Jacoby. We're going to talk about Michael Jordan being the best to do it, but you know what I was thinking? As you was answering that question, I was like, who are the greatest point guards of all time? And I was like, Magic, Big O, and Isiah. So, he's probably one of the top 15 players of all time. And before 1991, my Detroit Pistons had a winning record against Magic and the Lakers, Bird and the Celtics, Jordan and the Bulls. What he said is a fact. However, after 89, in 90, when we won back-to-back championships, in 91, you got to turn that thing over to the Black Cat.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
He don't have to do it because he was on the floor. But the rest of us have to turn it over to the Black Cat.
Jalen, you had to turn it over to the Black Cat there, but don't turn the channel because joining us right after this short break, Freddie Gibbs joins Jalen Jacoby. Stay tuned for that. You're watching Jalen Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is presented by Grey Goose. Drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Jalen, the pandemic has forced us all to work out in different ways. I've been going on long jogs, doing some calisthenics, and at my age, you need to recover. Now, whether you're my age or whether you're a young man or whether you're older or whether you're an elite athlete or just a regular person like myself or an ex-elite athlete like Jalen who's turned into a regular person, I've found the key to recovery, and that is using the Theragun. Using the Theragun is the perfect way to treat your muscle pain and muscle tension. It is the perfect way to recover. It is a handheld massage device that has different speeds, depths, and powers that really makes you feel better when you use it after working out. And guess what? There's an even bigger deal with the Theragun. Try Theragun for 30 days. There's no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4 with an OLED screen, personalized Theragun app, and the quiet and power you need. Go to Theragun.com/Jalen right now to get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's Theragun.com/Jalen. Theragun.com/Jalen.
We have a special message from Dell. They're offering you massive discounts on the best XPS and Alienware computers with Intel Core processors for Black Friday. You're getting early access to a curated selection of premium tech like Samsung TVs. Plus, there's free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. Whether it's for work, school, or fun, Dell has you covered. Call 800-BY-DELL or go to Dell.com/Black Friday for up to $400 off. That's 800-BY-DELL.
You're watching Jalen and Jacoby, presented by Grey Goose.
Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen joining us now as part of the Jalen and Jacoby family, a recurring guest. It is Freddie Gibbs, Gangsta Gibbs, rejoins the program. Great to have you back. Now, I know you're a big sports fan, so we got to start with your Bears. Everything looked great. The Bears were looking so good, and then they switched to Foles. He won a couple games. But how do you feel about your Bears now after watching them be terrible for a couple weeks?
Hey, man, we might as well throw Trubisky in there because Foles is not a starter. You know what I mean? He's never been a starter. You know what I mean? It is what it is. He's a backup, dog. We got to just, we got to play it like that. Defense got to play better, though. We talking about the offense right now, but our defense looking suspect too, though, man. So, let's not leave that out.
I agree. Thank you for going there because I have the Bears defense and special teams in fantasy, and they giving up way too many points. So I agree with you, Gangsta Gibbs. What's up with your defense?
Man, I don't know, man. The secondary getting burnt, man. We just got, we got to get back right. And another main thing, we don't have a running game. We're not even talking about that. We keep talking about the quarterback. We don't even have a running game. So it's like, we can't move the ball.
I think we've settled it that everything is bad about the Bears right now. But one thing that is really good is your new single with Big Sean and Hit Boy, Four Things. Now, we've seen the video. We've seen the video, okay? We know that you are a big Bulls fan, but here you are kind of celebrating the Lakers championship. What was the concept behind that, and did it feel a little funny with all that Laker gear on?
Nah, it didn't really feel funny, man. I was just, me and Big Sean, we both live in L.A., so, it was cool. It was kind of like a celebration for Kobe. We was kind of, throwing it back to like the Kobe and Shaq days. So, when people ask me about the Lakers stuff, I be like, hey, man, I did it for Kobe, man.
That's a family affair. Anytime I see y'all two together, it just makes me happy because I love both of y'all so much and y'all spit bars. But the first thing I thought about when I saw, and by the way, Hit Boy just making so many hits, boy. What about the Clippers? You said you live in L.A. What about the Clippers?
They got sent home, man. Well, shout out to my boy Pat
I heard you on with Benny the Butcher. You was unhappy with the Clippers. You was unhappy with them.
Hey, you know why I did that line? Because I bet on the Clippers, man. They lost me a lot of money, man. So I had, I was feeling bad that day when I went to the studio. Shout out to Pat Bev. That's my dog, though. You know what I'm saying? I love Pat Bev. You know what I'm saying? But I had to go in because they lost me a lot of money, man. They should have won that series.
Well, both you and Big Sean have been on this show a couple times. We always appreciate that. But one thing I want to discuss with you is you put up a video of you and Big Sean playing basketball together. I noticed that he didn't score any in the video that you posted. How did this game go down, and what is your game like?
Oh, it was a very, very one-sided game. I mean, Big Sean, he can't handle me at all, like on the court. Like he's zero competition. You see the Jordan. I was watching Last Dance. I had to put the Jordan moves on. You know what I'm saying? But nah, he can't really handle me. And really, no rapper could really handle me. I'm going to tell you the truth. The best basketball player in the industry, to me, is between, like, Chris Brown and, like, Key Glock. Everybody else, I ain't really worried about y'all. You know what I'm saying? And Snoop still got game. You know what I'm saying? J. Cole got fake game. I'm calling you out right now, national TV. You don't want that fade. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all, as far as the rapper hoopers, they don't want it. I got a pair of your shoes, J. Cole. J. Cole, he know I want to hoop him. That's why he keeps sending me them J. Cole Dreamer shoes in the mail. Let's put it to work, you know what I mean? He told me about to try out and go to the NBA. I want to see it, you know what I'm saying? But, let's do this.
Did you lace him up against Brian McKnight? Did you and Brian McKnight have something playing ball?
Oh, yeah, I balled Brian McKnight a long time ago in LA Fitness. I crossed him and then I dunked on him. So, one last crack, Brian McKnight. One last crack. You can get this working.
I've seen Quavo play pretty well. He's got a little janky lefty game, kind of like a Jalen Rose thing.
Quavo got game. He just had the right person check him. You know what I mean? See, all these guys got this pretty offensive game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a defender. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta score to win, baby. You can't score, you can't win. And that's that.
So, you love the sport. You just saw LeBron James get his fourth thing. Who's the GOAT of all time?
Of all time? Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Yes, indeed.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan is the greatest of all time. You know what I'm saying?
Can you school him and tell him why, Gangsta Gibbs? Can you school him? Please school him and tell him why. Please school him.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, nobody changed basketball like Michael Jordan. I mean, like from just an all-around level. The game is where it's at because Michael Jordan did what he did. You know what I mean? And, you can't really, you can't discount that whatsoever. Nobody played like that. LeBron is definitely, like you said, on Mount Rushmore basketball, but, you know, Michael Jordan is the greatest player to lace him up ever, like, that we've ever seen in any era across anything. So that's that.
As someone who grew up in Gary, Indiana and supported the Chicago Bulls, what was the experience of reliving all of that while watching The Last Dance this summer?
Oh, man, that Last Dance, that inspired, like, my last couple projects. I watched The Last Dance while I was making Alfredo, and I was like, yo, you know, it really put me in a
classic,
you know, a real win mode, you know what I mean? Yes, sir, classic, for sure. Shout out to Alchemist, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what we was watching while we was making the project, and it just, you know, that's why I made 1985, and then from there we just did all the rest of the record.
Gibbs, you're a young vet in the game, and when I'm watching these versus battles, you ready to get in one of these versus battles?
Nah,
who would you want to see?
Man, you know what? I'm ready to see T.I. and Jeezy. That's the one I'm ready. I'm really ready for that one. I can't wait for that one. That's the one
Who you got?
Hey, man, you know, these is both, you know, legends in the game, dog. You know what I'm saying? Jeezy definitely a legend, T.I. legend. So, I mean, you know, they both got classic records. It's going to be tight, you know what I mean? In my personal opinion, I think Jeezy got it. I think Jeezy got the more records that, you know what I'm saying, that put you in the kind of, you know, that mode. He got the records that's going to take me back and make me have a certain feeling. So, yeah, I think Jeezy got him on that one.
Now, one thing I love about you is not just your music, but it's also how many sports references you put in. And I can tell you're like a real sports fan. So I want to talk to you about your Chicago Bulls, because no one's talking about the Bulls right now. They've got a brand new head coach. They've got the number 4 pick in the draft. How do you feel about Billy Donovan? How do you feel about the upcoming draft?
You know what? I think that we're about to get Obi Toppin, and I like him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm you know, good, tough player coming out of mid-major. You know what I mean? I like his style of play. I think that's who we're going to end up getting. I think, honestly, I was hoping that the Bulls would get a higher pick, and we don't really have nothing to trade up to get LaMelo. We need some excitement in Chicago right now. We need an exciting player to put, you know, fans in the stands. You know what I mean? Post-Corona, you know, of course.
So, half Maine, half cocaine. I could tell that you're a little unhappy with Dwayne Carter these days.
Oh, man, not really. I love him. He's one of my favorite rappers. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I'll follow you on all of your social media handles. And you were unhappy with him recently. I like a lot of the jokes, you know what I mean, and the memes, you know, that they're banking about him, and I think it's funny. I like putting up memes about rappers, you know what I mean? It don't matter who it is, like Wayne, T.I., Jeezy, all that stuff funny to me, you know what I mean? So I don't, you know, it's all lighthearted fun.
Now, you live in Los Angeles, as you mentioned, but you always rep Gary, Indiana, and
yes, sir.
I heard that there was a little bit of a rivalry between your father and the King of Pop, Michael Jackson. Can you please explain that to me? Yeah.
My dad and Michael Jackson the same age, so they was, you know what I mean, like my dad could sing, and Mike, and, you know, they had a whole family with him, but my dad, you know, he was by himself. You know, he had a family of 8 people too, but then none of them had no talent. Mike had the whole house behind him, so you know, they was riding with Mike, and, you know, Mike beat my daddy in a couple talent shows, you know what I mean, sweeped his ass off the stage real quick.
So the thing, first and foremost, when you get a Freddie Gibbs freestyle, a verse, or an album, it's gonna have bars.
Bars.
I like how you stay constant with your sound. Alchemist, Hit Boy. Talk about sonically how you get into a zone of creating what I consider classic material.
I think that really, honestly, it's just like, just locking in with a producer and just like, you know, trying to find your mode, you know, with it. You gotta, like, a lot of times now, like with where the game is at, you gotta kind of like fit to the production or fit to what's going on musically. So it's like, you know, and if you're one of those trailblazers and you creating the sound, then, you know, that's priceless. You know, I think that I gotta, you know, I can't run in the same lane as other rappers. I gotta kind of create my own lane, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, the rap game is like a small door and everybody trying to run in it, you know? So I gotta, you know, go bust another hole in the wall or jump out the window. So that's how I look at it.
Now, you are one of my favorite follows on all social media, and you've also been in the game for so long that you were there before social media. So how do you balance now, like when you see the industry that some people are so active on it and you kind of clown people on it, and how do you keep a focus on the music where some people seem to be focused on that?
The music is first. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think that social media is a joke. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people take themselves a little bit too serious on it. So I just use it to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, I'm not, maybe not the most political person on there. I don't give a lot of political or religious opinion, and I choose to do that personally to keep a lot of that to myself. You know what I mean? I feel like if you want to know a lot of my opinions and that side of me, you can listen to the music. The social media and stuff is all, I think it's all for jokes and just having fun, man. You know what I mean? And showing more positivity than negativity, I'd say, So I just focus on what I focus on. Right now I'm shooting a movie. So I'm transcending into that acting.
Yeah. Tell us about it. That's what I want to know. Give me more. What?
Hey, man, I can't get too many details, but I'm the lead role. I'm filming a movie right now. That's why I'm in New York. I'm in like upstate. So I'm filming the movie, and I got some other roles, lined up, and they coming for me, the movie role. So I want to the movie world. I want to really get into that thing and really transcend into that. That's my next step after music.
Give us one hint of what the movie's about. What kind of theme, one character? Give us something, one theme about what the movie's about.
I mean, man, the movie, it's crazy. It's about somebody having a nervous breakdown, I'll tell you that.
That's why they picked you.
What about musically? Before we let you get out of here, what's next musically?
Oh, man, musically, I'm just working. I've really been in the studio with Hit Boy a lot. Man, honestly, I'm just shooting out records. I just got in the lab with Schoolboy Q. I think I'm about to drop a record with him next. Man, we moving. I just did one with Ferg. I'm really just going around the rap game and just, doing stuff with guys and, and just seeing what stick right now, you know what I mean? And whatever works. I'm probably going to do another project soon, but I'm not really in a rush. Like you said, I just put out Alfredo, so I'm kind of dancing on that, you know what I mean? Lord willing, the COVID thing is over, within a year or whatever. I don't know. But we can get back to doing performances, and, that's really what I'm geeked up to do. I'm ready to get back on that stage.
And I really appreciate you taking the time out of the movie shooting and the music making and clowning people on social media and watching all the sports to join in with us. Make sure you give Lambo a shout for me, and you're welcome to come back on Jalen Jacoby whenever you want. Gangsta Gibbs, appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
If you're in a relationship, even if you're not in a relationship, romance is important. And being healthy is important, especially during these troubled times. And a healthy life includes having a healthy sex life. So if you struggle with erectile dysfunction, you may not feel like your best self. If you want help with ED, use Roman. Roman connects you with a real U.S. licensed healthcare professional who can prescribe the medicine that you need. With Roman, you get free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. Healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship you real medicine with free 2-day shipping. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/Jacoby and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to talk about, and now there's Roman. Complete online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Just go to roman.com/Jacoby to get $15 off your first order of ED treatment, a free online visit, and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/Jacoby for $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Getroman.com/Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is presented by Grey Goose. Drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
The NBA draft is almost here, November 18th, next Wednesday at 7 p.m. So much intrigue. There'll be trades, there'll be surprises, and lives will be changed. Make sure you tune in. ESPN, next Wednesday at 7. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, I don't know why this makes me laugh so much, but your team that you've dedicated so much time and emotional resource into is the Detroit Lions. And now they put 10 players on the field against the Vikings. 2 weeks ago. Oh, what happened? 70-yard run. Not just that, but Jalen, against the Colts in week 8, twice they put 10 players on the field on defense. 2 times, Jalen Rose. So that's 3 times in 2 weeks they lined up and didn't have 10 players on defense. What is your team doing? What is happening?
We have a defensive coordinator as our head coach, and we drafted a defensive player early in the first round. And those are all 3 different looks. It's Dalvin breaking a big run. It's a 5 or 8 yard scamper. And then the last one is a 2-point conversion. A 2-point, that means after they scored, they were going for 2. And they looked out there like, wait a minute, they only got 10 guys. Hurry up, snap the ball. Oh, my goodness.
He's just showing them different looks. He's a mastermind. No one's ever done this before. 10 players on the field, defensive mastermind. We'll be back next Monday, 2 p.m. ESPN. Enjoy the Masters.
Big shout, Gangsta Gibbs.
Want to thank Freddie Gibbs for taking time out, filming a movie. Look at him, what a superstar. Filming a movie, taking time out to do J&J from the car. Really appreciate that. We're always going to give you podcast exclusive content. A little programming note, the Masters is on Thursday and Friday. That means no show for Jalen Jacoby. We will be back on Monday to recap the Masters, the weekend in NFL, and also the latest Michigan loss. Who's Michigan losing to this week? Who y'all losing to this week?
I don't even know who we played.
You don't even know.
I'm delirious. I'm concussed. I'm in a protocol.
I don't know why it's so funny to me that 3 times in 2 weeks the Lions lined up with 10 defenders. I'm telling you, Matt Patricia, he's just giving the quarterback different looks. Quarterback gets under center. What's the first thing they want to do? To see what defense they're in, right? That's the first thing that the quarterback's thinking when he gets under center. So now when the quarterback gets under center, he's like, what is this? Wait a second. What are they in? Let me throw somebody in motion and see what's happening. And the Dalvin Cook one was especially hilarious because it was a 70-yard run.
He's only the most productive back this season in football. And by the way, anybody that's played football, you know this. It's more likely to have too many players on the field than not enough.
Yes.
Absolutely. To not have enough, it's one thing when you change in formations, you're bringing people on and off. It's special teams, it's defense, it's dime, it's nickel, it's 4 down, it's 4 line, it's all of that. Normally, those end up being 12 men on the field. That's why when you have 10 men on the field, Jacoby, you know what the officials do? They let you play.
Yeah, they do.
They let you play. They only got 10 people out there? Cool. Go ahead and give it to Dalvin real quick.
There's a lineman. There's a left tackle, because it was on their right side. There's a left tackle that got into a 3-point stance and looked up and was like, what? They looked to his right. He was just like, wait, what?
They like, hurry up and snap the ball. They like, hurry up and snap the ball.
Snap the ball. Yeah.
They got a 2-point conversion, which means they scored, stopped. They decided if they were going to go for 2. They put the personnel out there to go for 2. And they scored a 2-point conversion running the ball easily because we only had 10 people.
I wish I could. If the Jets did this, they would launch an investigation. Honestly, they'd be like, the integrity of the game is broken. They would launch investigations and then say, listen, we're not going to let this happen again.
Great point.
Because we think that they're intentionally losing games. The Lions are trying to win the games and only putting 10 defenders out there. But listen, I'm not gonna sit here and clown them, because this type of mistake can happen to any team, right? It can happen in the Super Bowl. But for it to happen twice last week and then once the previous week to give up a 70-yard run, that just can't happen. That's too bad. That's too bad. And, guess what? Michigan, guess who they're playing? Number 13, Wisconsin. That's a loss. Then they're going to go play Rutgers.
Oh, no. Hopefully Wisconsin's still having some testing situations happening in their building.
It don't matter. It don't matter. They could put 10 men on the field like the Lions do and still beat Michigan. This could get ugly. You have Wisconsin, Rutgers, and then Penn State. I mean, you got to beat Rutgers. You got to beat Rutgers.
What about Ohio State?
Oh, that one. I'm not even. You really want to talk about that? That is December 12th.
No, I bring it up because. So here's why I bring it up. And you know how much I love my school and I appreciate Jim Harbaugh. There are going to be a lot of people that say, fire Jim Harbaugh right now, because we didn't have success against Ohio State and we haven't had the success that we should have against Michigan State. Here's where it's going to get tricky for him, Jacoby.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only Power 5 coach with 2 years or less on his contract. The only one. The only one. I know because that's my team. The only one. And that works both ways. That works if you come this year and run the table and make it to the playoff. Then you get a big deal. Now, if you lose in the state, you lose in the Indiana, and you lose in the Wisconsin, and if Ohio State break the brakes off of us, they're going to have a different conversation in the office, Jacoby. Yeah. And it ain't going to be, how can we give you $10 million a year?
And it's easier to fire somebody the closer they get to the end of their deal. And he's getting closer. And here's the thing, though. Let me get inside the mind of a Michigan man, okay? Let's say y'all lose to – you already lost to State. You already lost to Indiana. Let's say you lose to Wisconsin. Let's say you lose to Penn State. You beat Rutgers, right? Let's say, you beat Maryland, and then you go to Columbus to play the number 2 team in the country. I'm going to call them number 2, right? Or number 1. Number 1, Ohio State. And you beat Ohio State in overtime. Milton runs a bootleg, scores, hail the victors, put the flag in the middle of the field. Harbaugh celebrates, walking
Forget
off.
everything I just said. Forget everything I just said. That's the head of a Michigan man. Forget everything I just said. That's me rewinding the tape. We can lose every game, but if we crush Ohio State at their building, he might get an extension for that.
That's what I'm saying. That's really what it is. You're not going to make the playoffs. You might not even make a bowl game at this point. But your whole season, your whole series, your whole emotional happiness, your whole next 8 months, however many months it is until football comes back, is basically all going to go down to noon on December 12th. Noon on December 12th. But the problem is you're going to be down by 3 touchdowns by like 12:30. Like you're gonna have ordered your wings when the game starts. You'll be halfway through your wings. And you'll be, what's that? Oh, okay. Oh, we just went through it in pick 6? Oh, okay. Oh well. Man, I'm
they're
going
to have to definitely get it together. Oh, and by the way, let me just put this on wax.
Okay.
Shout out to my brother, Juwan Howard, because the University of Michigan basketball is the number 1 recruiting class in the country.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you know the last time that happened, Juwan was playing for the Wolverines. That don't happen often for our school.
Huh.
That don't happen often. We've had 1 McDonald's All-American since the Fab Five left. 1.
The latest is
and
Moussa
Diabate. He didn't play great in college, and he didn't make it to the league.
Moussa Diabate is the second 5-star recruit in this class, and he is a forward. Reading about him, Caleb Houston. We got a left-handed point guard. Oh, yeah. Good for you guys. Good for you. You know what? I'd want to play for Juwan Howard, too. I would want to play for Juwan Howard, too. I would want to put on the maize and blue, too. If I was a football player, I wouldn't be coming to Ann Arbor. No. But if I was a basketball player, I'd be coming up to Ann Arbor. Jalen, there's something I want to talk to you about. So you dropped off wax. You said something that's an indication of what's going on, right? So if you watch the TV show and you listen to this podcast right now, I want you to know Jalen's been wearing a lot of hats. Why has Jalen been wearing a lot of hats? Doesn't get a haircut. Why has he been getting a haircut? Because he had the half moon part. Guess what? Got to grow that out, so it's going to take some time. But you mentioned something. You mentioned you might have an exclusive interview with the number 1 prospect in the draft, according to David Jacoby's rankings, this weekend. And I was thinking to myself, wait a second, he's going to interview this weekend. That's going to be during the draft. That's a show that he actually cares about what he looks like for. So I see that you've got a strategy. You've got it mapped out. You're getting a cut Saturday morning. And what is the plan?
Here's the plan. I'm not getting a cut Saturday morning, and I will be wolfing it during the interview.
No. Jalen, we got to talk to you.
I will.
I'm going to wear a hat. All these Detroit losses, all these Michigan losses, they're getting your head literally. Like, you're not yourself without a fresh cut. You've grown it out enough.
Concussed.
You've grown it out enough. Talk to Andy Authentic. You got to get you're ready for a cut.
Now.
You're ready now.
I know, but if I wolf for like 2 more weeks, Reg DeLedge will tell you. When Jacoby, I laid them down this morning. They was spinning, dog. Like, just give me like 2 more weeks.
Okay. I just want to make sure you have a strategy.
Spinning, dog.
I just want to make sure you have a strategy.
I got a strategy. I'm going to go interview the young fella. J&J gonna get exclusive content. Tell me what you want. You want to see him? What do you want to see your favorite prospect doing? I'm gonna be in the gym. What you want to see him doing? You want to see him making shots? You want to see him combination dribbles? What footage you want to play on this show?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you why I love LaMelo Ball. I'm gonna tell you a little story about young David Jacoby. I think it was 2001 ESPY Awards. I'm driving up to Bristol because I got to make the mixtapes for the nominee reels of the ESPY Awards. And what was some breakthrough performance or Rookie of the Year or whatever? LeBron James was one of the nominees. And everyone had heard of LeBron James. We all watched a couple times. He's on ESPN or whatever. So there's like, all right, so you got to go make a mixtape of his highlights. And this at the time was reel to reel. You just do it yourself. And I remember watching these games and watching LeBron James and saying to myself, I've never seen someone at this age have this passing ability. It wasn't his size or his power or shooting or scoring. I was like, just the innate passing ability is insane. The lookaways, the anticipation, the pinpoint accuracy. And I'm not going to compare his passing ability to LaMelo Ball's, but that's also one of the things I love about LaMelo Ball so much. So when you say, what do you want to see from him? I like him when he's playing the game of basketball. I don't need to see him shooting threes or dribbling the ball. I love the way he passes his teammates open. I love the way he works for his teammates. I love the way he driving kicks. I love the way he pick and rolls. That's why he's my number one prospect. And you see that some other analysts are starting to come around to what J&J's been speaking into microphones for a long time.
I agree with you, and that's likely his best attribute. But also, not spoken like a television producer and not spoken like somebody that wants to get an exclusive guest because you never answered the question.
I don't listen to you when you talk. You said, what do you want to see
With
him?
something that we can actually show on the show.
Okay. Listen, I would say that his shooting and his shot mechanics and him shooting from deep. Because that's really one of the things that people are looking at him. Because his shot isn't Lonzo Ball funny, but it's not pure, perfect prospect. And I wouldn't mind to see him hitting some. But he can pull up from deep, too. He's trying to develop into a Dame range type of player. Like, that's what he's trying to develop into. I love LaMelo Ball so much.
All I know is I was once an All-American, All-State, All-City player. And you know one thing I would never get close to doing? Is scoring 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 in a high school game.
Your team was good.
You know how unlikely that is?
Your team was good. That's the difference.
Dog, just the time that's in the game and running time, which you know I hate, takes that out of play 98% of the time. Running time.
They don't do running time in high school.
But they play 8-minute quarters?
Something like that.
8-minute quarters?
Something like that, yeah. 8-minute quarters. That's 32 minutes of basketball.
That's 32 minutes.
That's wild.
He had 90 in the game, which seems like 10 years ago because it was like 6 or 7 years ago. And fortunately for him, his family dynamic with his brother being in the league and his parents, he had the opportunity at a young age to fall in love with the game. Of course, as the founder of a school, I encourage graduating from high school, graduating from college, community college, trade, whatever, military, whatever, you feel like is going to be the best path for you. In falling in love with the game, this dude done been everywhere playing with all kinds of people. And I like that when I'm going to play rec ball. Like, when I watch Dame Lillard, I'll say he played rec ball. When I watch John Moran, it's like he played rec ball. And that might not even be true, but that's just what I think of when I see them. And I see him like that too. As somebody like KD and Jamal Crawford, guys that just want to play to play. James Harden is like that also.
There was that news story. Who was it? Someone was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast. I forget who it was. Oh, John Wall. And he was like, I've been playing with KD, and y'all look out. KD's amazing. I'm like, this isn't news. Like, KD's arguably the best player on the planet. Like, I'm not surprised. Like a year away from
KD's
surgery that
basketball?
KD's playing well. Yeah, it's like, oh, you mean the guy with the 7-foot wingspan that can pull up from 30 feet? Like, oh, he's going to be a problem for the league? Like, I'm telling you.
The guy with two finals MVPs?
Yeah, exactly.
Back to back?
Yeah, the guy guarded LeBron James and shot him down in
The
Game 5
last
of the
time
finals.
he was healthy? The last time he was healthy?
Averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. That guy? No, yeah. And I have high expectations for the Nets, man. I'm. You know what? I'm not going to any Knicks games this year. I'm going Nets only. I'm going across the river. Hopefully, I can ride the subway by then.
I want to point something out to you also. Here's where you got to be careful as an NBA team. You're Oklahoma City. You elevate your assistant coach. I'm not mad at him. Don't love the hire. What ends up happening is you have your year to overachieve. Now fans are looking for you to progress. Mm-hmm. And so now we're going to be looking at the development of the young players and what they do with those picks. So since they have those picks, hopefully with their stability in the front office, I believe they're going to turn those into players. For the Houston Rockets, I'm not so sure that if you want to sit up and talk about trading Harden, like that's not a good decision for the Rockets. That's not a good decision for the Rockets. Because you're going to get 60 cents on the dollar, and you'll get a guy that's averaging 17, and another guy that's averaging 12, and another guy that's averaging 8, but gets you 6 rebounds. And ain't nobody going to pay to watch them play. It's professional basketball. And James Harden is the reason we talk about that team and his offensive heroics. Averaging almost, that's the reason why we talk about them. They ain't made no finals.
No.
We talk about them because of Harden. So they got to be very careful this offseason to not trade a superstar in today's game and become irrelevant for national consumption.
Yeah, Houston without Harden. I don't think just don't fix your lips and say trade James Harden. Just don't do it. Just do not do it. Like you should. What are you getting back? What are you getting back? What are you getting back? Don't tell me Joel Embiid.
You want me to answer?
What?
I'll answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll answer.
Go ahead.
I got you. The potential of Christian Woods and Blake Griffin.
Wood is a free agent, and no one wants Blake Griffin. Blake got to prove
Sign
it.
and trade.
I'm not saying Blake Griffin isn't valuable. We got to see it. We got to see it. He hasn't played for a while, but don't sleep on Blake Griffin. Remember he was getting assists. He was getting assists and shooting threes. Like he's not just like that dunker guy from the Clippers. Someone's got to score on the Pistons, though. They got to get to 80, 90 somehow.
Yeah,
like they got to get to 80, 90 somehow.
Blake ain't dunked on nobody in 3 years.
He has it. Blake. Early Blake was different. I could see Blake's game getting older.
He out there like Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
When I walk further from the TV, I'm like, is that Klay Thompson?
He's in the corner.
Hovering around the 3-line the whole game.
He was, yep. Jalen, I got to tell you, I know haircuts are very important to you. That's kind of where we got started. I have to confess something that happened to me, right? I cut my own hair, pandemic.
What's that?
And so I was cutting my hair. Q was in the room. Shout out to Q. And I was cutting. I got halfway through. Clipper charge out of battery. Uh-oh. I plugged the clipper in. It takes a while it takes like 10 minutes for that thing to fire back up. So I got the backup clippers. The backup clippers I usually use on like my man region, you know what I mean? Like my armpits or something. So I had to use those. But I couldn't get the length to match. So at first it was like too high and then it was too low. So that's why you see my hair so short. Because I basically just had to take the guards off and just go Doc Rivers 1 millimeter. I had to go Doc Rivers 1 millimeter.
I like it.
So as much as I'm a clown you for wolfing it.
Why don't you take those clippers? Go find Superstar, our brother from another, who works with my wife, Stephen A., and give him that same cut. Same cut.
I'm not going to roll up on Stephen A. with some clippers. No, I'm good. Jalen, we have a soft move or boss move. A doctor in Brazil was going to get married. It was his wedding day. He paid all the vendors, He had a beautiful, beautiful location. It was his wedding day. He was so excited. His fiance left him at the altar. So what did he do? Married himself in a ceremony. All the friends and family were there. Everything was paid for. Went through with it. Married himself in a ceremony. Had a party afterwards. Soft move or boss move?
That's a boss move. I think it was it Styles P? No, it was Biggie. It was like get married to the game but never have a kid with it.
I think
that's what he
Styles.
did. He married the game. Yeah, that's Styles. Yeah, that's Styles. And he got married to the game. He won't have a kid with it. And didn't you say he lives in
Brazil?
Brazil? Is that what you said? Brazil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
If I just Googled the beauty of Brazil, what do you think is going to come up?
Well,
the landscape and the restaurants?
Let's just say I've put Brazil in a lot of search words. I've used Brazil as a keyword in a lot of searches on a lot of different websites. Just say that. I'll just leave it right there. I'll just leave it right there. We always say we give the people what they want. So if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail again right now. Stop what you're doing. Call 985-80-JALEN and leave us a voicemail. We will play it on the show just like this.
What's up, Jalen and Jacoby? This is Javier. I'm coming out of King City, California. I wanted to know, is it a soft move or a boss move? Cutting off everybody in order to focus on reaching a goal. A lot of people are coming at me mad, and I don't know. I don't know if they think I'm bipolar or something. I don't know. What do you guys think? Shout out, Reg. Love the show. Love the podcast. Jacoby, you're the man. All right. Later, guys.
Big shout to Javier. It got a little mumbled right when he asked the question. He cut something out of his life to focus on his goals. I couldn't hear what he said. Reg, do you know what he said? Oh, okay. Reggie's telling me he cut his friends out of his life to focus on himself and his goals. So, Jalen, this one's interesting. Cutting your friends out of your life to focus on your goals, soft move or boss move. Shout out to Javier.
That's the ultimate boss move, more importantly, life trait. I talk about people coming into your life for 4 reasons. To add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Choose wisely. Those that you look down at your phone that are trying to add to your happiness or multiply your bottom line, you take those calls and you continue to build on what you're trying to do. Those that are there to subtract and take away from you emotionally and psychologically, also there to divide and gossip, those are the people that you got to let go until you get to where you're trying to go. And so I 100% agree with this. Focus is actually what it is. And by the way, if they're your true friends and if they really love you, they don't have to talk to you every day. They don't have to see you every week. I have friends that I don't see for months, for a year. Howard Isby is my brother. He's on Michigan staff. I ain't talked to him in like 5 months. I can't wait to see him in a couple of days. They ain't talked to him in 5 months. And so absolutely, boss move.
I would say if they were your true friends, you're never going to lose them, right? So you're just focusing on yourself for a while, rebuilding. It's a break. It's like going on a break in a relationship. But I also say this is, I'm a big out of sight, out of mind person. Like if you're in Los Angeles, when I was in Los Angeles, we're kicking it all the time. I'm talking to you. You're part of my life. We're texting. But if I don't see you for a while, it doesn't mean I don't love you. I'm just a big out of sight, out of mind person. I don't see you around. Some of our colleagues here at the studio, we've got a real skeleton crew at the studio. I used to see these people every day. Shout out to the Come Up Corner, talking all the time. But if you're not in front of me,
and also,
I'm not going to reach out that much.
That's well said, Jacoby. And also, don't allow people to guilt you into spending time with them when it doesn't necessarily fit your schedule. When successful people or athletes start to get fame or get money, those be the individuals like, oh, she not keeping it real, or he not still down. Dog, my time is different at 21 versus 41. At 21, I don't have kids. I'm trying to get it in all the time. I'm going hard. Like it's just different. Playing video games, whatever. At 41, I'm just a different human being. So acknowledge that as well.
Appreciate the call, Javier. We got time for one more voicemail. Let's get it.
Jalen and Jacoby, what up, doe? This is Aaron. I live in L.A., but I'm from Texas. You know what's up? I was listening to the pod, man, and I heard this caller talk about how fruit is nasty in restaurants. Well, I just want to say I'm a bartender at a restaurant, and I just want you to know if I even drop the fruit, which is called garnish, if I even drop the fruit that's supposed to go on your drink on the bar, on the clean bar, and I do that on accident, I will grab you a new piece of fruit. When we cut the fruit, it's with gloves. You know what I mean? Like, that fruit is not nasty. There are certain that we have to follow to put that fruit on your drink. We do it with care. No one says you have to drop it in. I just wanted to push back that fruit was nasty. Outside of that, man, that's all I really have. I've been listening to the pod since like 2015, 2016, man. Love what y'all do. Keep doing what you do. Keep giving us, the people, what we want. And I hope to hear this podcast on the show. Shout out, Rich.
I love Aaron from Texas now living in Los Angeles so much. He was very passionate about his defense of the garnishes at the bar. Very passionate. You know, one thing I miss, Jalen Rose? I miss just putting my elbows on a bar, sitting on a bar stool, watching a sport game on a television while I drink a Guinness. I miss that so much. So what do you think about Aaron's defense of the garnishes in bars? Passionate.
I agree with him. I told you that my mom was a bartender / waitress when I was young, and I used to be crushing those cherries and those oranges. And you see me do it within the last 30 to 60 days. So that's what I do. I'm glad he called in to shoot down the theory that the fruit at the bar, for me, is a delicacy. For you, it's a decoration.
I do want to say one thing to Aaron, who I know is listening, because he's been listening since 2015. You shouldn't be so proud of the fact that if you drop the fruit on the bar, you won't put it in the drink. It's like, you're not supposed to, dog. That's like dropping it on the floor. Like, you shouldn't be so proud. He's like, yo, if I drop it on the bar, I won't put it back in the drink. It's like, Aaron, I love you. You're my guy. But, like, that's just common sense, kind of. You know, like, I'm expecting you to have that level of care. You don't have to wear gloves and everything.
In public service, I don't have to tell you this, professional pizza flipper. There aren't all people in service created equal. Some people will drop it on the floor or drop it on the bar, and if ain't nobody looking, put it on or in your drink.
I ordered, sometimes
he
I like
knows
a nice,
that too. That's why he said it.
That's facts. And I will say this is, sometimes I like to squeeze the lime juice into my vodka soda or whatever. And sometimes, like, when I try to squeeze it, I'm like, nothing comes out. You can tell that lime was cut like 3 days ago. It's like, come on, y'all. Come on. But I will say this is one time I was at a bar in Dallas, Texas, and I asked for a Manhattan. Sometimes I like to have an old-fashioned or Manhattan, like a whiskey-based drink. And I could tell that the bartender didn't really know what she was doing. I could tell they don't order a lot of Manhattans in Dallas, Texas. So at one point, she took that little plastic half-circle garnish tray thing. You know what I'm talking about? The little white plastic half circle. It looks like a wax around a cheese wheel. She took that and then put her hand on the cherries and poured the cherry juice into my drink. And it was at that point I was like, no. I was like, no. I was like, first of all, that's not an ingredient in a Manhattan. Okay. Second of all, I'll be getting something else.
No.
I appreciate your service.
Yes.
But you'll not be.
Always
you'll not
order
be,
something that you know they can make.
Yes. Exactly. Appreciate the call, Aaron and Javier. Don't forget to call 985-80-JALEN. We'll put you on the show. We have the Masters on Thursday and Friday, so we are off. We will be back on Monday. Why is that, Jalen Rose?
We're not done. Got to give the people